Welcome to Mark D Maker. My name's Mark Taylor. Today we're going to be looking at carving a little gnome. Now, this one's in clay. This little guy, he is in clay, and I made him in clay first so I'll be able to figure out how I can fit him into such a small piece of wood. So this is 1 by 1 by 4 inches. So 1 inch by 1 inch, 4 inches tall. And so what I did is I made this little guy first. Well, actually I made him first, and he was too big. He wouldn't fit inside this piece of wood. So made him smaller to where he would fit inside there. The way I did it was I rolled a piece of clay that I thought would be close, and I measured to make sure that it would fit inside the parameters of the wood. So then I took my knife and basically carved the clay like a piece of wood. Now, it went super quick. This took maybe between 20 to 30 minutes. So there's really no sanding as you make your cut. You want to get it smooth this side of the blade, and it's smooth, and you can get to this stage very, very quickly. So this is kind of my guide, and we're going to use this piece of wood to mark the height and use it as a reference to carve the wood. Alright, so let's get started. So I'm going to determine the height just by holding them up like so. I'll just back them right up against there. And a small mark, looks like the highest point's right about here. That's all I need, is that little mark right there. And an old carpenter's trick, I'm going to take this finger. I know this is 90 degrees here. I'm going to extend the pencil lead. Yeah, bring it a little closer. And I'm going to use this finger as a brace. Once I get to that mark, I'm going to go all the way around the piece like that. So I'm going to carve this little guy out of this block of wood without doing a rough out cut, what's called a blank. I'm not going to make a blank. I'm just going to, because it's so small, just carve it right out of the wood. I'll save this piece in case I want to put him on a pedestal. So because he is small, if for some reason he has a hard time standing balance-wise, I'll mount him on that little block there, and I'll give him a little bit more presence too. Presence. Elf. No pun intended. He's a gnome. Got it? Okay. I'll be right back. I'm going to cut this. Alright, got the piece of wood cut. So let's see where we stand. Yeah, got a little bit of wiggle room. Could make the hat just a tad bit higher if I wanted to. And if I wanted to put them on a little pedestal, we got that. So we'll hold on to this. We'll get the clay set aside because we don't want to get wood chips in the clay. And folks, if you are a wood carver and use a knife, every once in a while, pick up a Dremel tool, a rotary tool of some sort, and give it a try. If you do rotary only, try a knife. And both groups, try clay. It will help expand your mind, your creativity. I can't go into it enough how much clay can change the way you carve. I think it'll make you better. Anyway, off my soapbox. Let's get started. So I'm kind of trying to line them up to see if do I need to make them like that, or can I go at them like this? I'll try to line them up, I think like that. That'll give me a lot of room to play with the shoulders. His head is turned, so I do like the angle of this. Oh, look at that. That's not a happy little accident. I wonder what Bob Ross would call that. That was unintentional. That came from the corner of the wood. Anywho, yeah, I think I'm gonna go at them from the side. Now I have a place to rest the wood at least. Okay, so we're gonna make his head right about here, his hat right about there. Give me a couple of good starting places. Feet. This gives us some landmarks. Just to keep it in. Now the ears, we're going to block those out in the carving. The ears we're going to block out in the carving because they're going to be the most fragile part there is. If they do break, backup plan 1, I'll just drill a small hole in like so, insert a toothpick, glue it in place, have it stick out just a little bit, and use 2-part epoxy. Epoxy the ears on, and wait till the epoxy starts to firm up a little bit. Carve it roughly into shape. Once it hardens, I'll use a rotary tool and refine it, and then those ears will never come off. They'll be set in stone. All right. Hat and face. So I'm just going to focus on the hat for now, and we're going to have that hat coming up and over. So we can start removing wood now. All right, so here's where we are right now. And we'll continue to, refine it as we go, as the carving comes along. There's our model that we're using, so not too bad, not too far off. And this is just a suggestion. We still may do some other changes, but we'll keep going. Next, the face. All right, so this line is roughly the face. Yeah, and then the beard. So what we can do to start is basically take the corner off a little bit. So the reason why a lot of people like to do the face on the corner like this is it gives the planes of the face, if you study anatomy and look at how the face lies, it does have this similar angle to it. The eyes set back through here, the nose will come forward, and we'll utilize some of this corner as the nose. We're not going to need a sharp edge on the side here, so we'll take those down, and it makes it easier to hold. It was aggravating me carving the hat with these corners. I usually take those corners off first thing. Already it's more comfortable to hold. Yeah. All right, so we'll come in here a little bit. No, we're not going to go too wild because he does have a beard and mustache. We have to account for that. Just seeing where I want to put the face, where the direction of the hat, how I want it. There's a technique where I'm going against the grain. It's splitting out, but in a controlled manner. The big pieces are just kind of splitting off. You eventually learn to control those splits, and they become your friends. In the beginning, not so much. Now you notice these chips are small, taking small cuts. Alright, that's a start. Alright, so worked on them a little bit off camera just to create the shape of the head, and the beard's gonna come in here like so, and he's got like a quarter turn to his head, and that adds a little something to it. That it adds a little personality to him instead of just dead on straight. So what I'm thinking about doing here is putting the feet straight on and the head here. So that would be about a quarter turn. From here being his front and his feet, and then his shoulders to the corners. That's giving me the corner for the nose. So let's try that. We'll do center line. Now we can go on and start removing some wood. I have my OCC detailer that I'm going to be switching to. So I started off with this just to show you can do it with this. You can. If you don't have this. If you don't have a nicer knife. You can always do it with a number 11 X-Acto. And I may go back to that when I start doing the more real refined details. All right, so right about here, I certainly could be done with this little guy and put like a stain wash paint on him, and it would be okay. But we're going to take him a little bit further. A little bit of 120 sandpaper. Give him a little bit of sanding here. And in my next video, we're going to be talking about taking this little guy to the next level. I'll be talking about a professional wood carver that learned a lesson and made a career out of taking wood carvings and taking them to the next level. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.